Hello everyone, welcome to IE 206 Engineering Economy, and today inshallah we will continue with chapter 4, the nominal and effective interest rate. Today inshallah we'll learn how we convert from nominal to effective, and I have a summary of how you proceed if there is a question that asks you to convert a nominal interest to an effective interest. Um, this way that I'm going to demonstrate is not in the textbook or in the slides. So it is something that I try to use all the methods is given in the slides and try to summarize them in a way students they can proceed to solve any question in this chapter without the confusion that they always face in the textbook or the slides. Before we proceed with converting from nominal to effective, we have to recap about certain terminologies that we have covered in chapter 4, and those are very important to proceed in converting from nominal to effective. The time period, compounding period, and the compounding frequency. We have explained those in the previous lecture, but to recap, the time period is the pointer, yes. The period where is the interest rate expressed. For example, if you have 5% per year, so period considered to be the time period, or the year considered to be the time period. The compounding period is the shortest time unit over the interest is charged or earned. And that's mean if I didn't have a compounding like the first example here, 1% per year, that's mean the compounding is at the end of every year. But if the statement shows that extended information, like in the second example, when it says 8% per year compounded monthly, then the compounding monthly means that at the end of every month, that the percentage applied during the year. The compounding frequency basically is the relation between the time period and the compounding period. And we can briefly explain that as it's stated here, the number of times, M, that compound occurs within the time period. So how many times the compounding period appears in the time period? How many months appeared in the year is 12. We have examples here. If the time period and the compound period are equal, so usually M will be equal 1. But if they are different, and like this case, it is the time period is per year and the compounding is per month. So the relation how many months appear per year, that is M equal 12. We have to understand those elements before we start proceeding with converting from nominal to effective. To convert from nominal to effective, you need to follow these steps that I summarized them here in this sheet. I will zoom in. Okay. The first thing that we have already explained is the time period, which is the TP. We can use the abbreviation TP, time period, as we have 4% per year or 4% per month. Both of them are the time period. Then you need to identify the following. So you identify the time period in the first step. The second step, the 4% per year compounded monthly. Now we have to identify the other two elements, the compounding period and the compounding frequency. The compounding period is the month, and the compounding frequency is the relation between the time period and the compound period. And in this case, they are 12. The third step is here. You follow these conditions to solve any question that asks you to convert from nominal to effective. If the time period smaller than the compound period, then you follow this formula. if the compound period is less than the time period, then you follow this formula. So the decision making or the decision criteria is the relation between the time period and the compound period. Going back to here, this is the time period and this is the compounding period. How we compare between them is, now, is the month greater than the year or the year is greater than the month? Basically, this way will give you the information who is greater than the other. So if in this case the time period is greater than the compound period, then in this case we follow this formula. If it is the other way around, then you follow this formula. I have showed you two different cases or two different scenarios. 1.2 per month compounded yearly, 1.2 per year compounded monthly. Here in this case, the first one, the time period is less than the compound period, but in the second one, the time period is greater than the compounding period. So those two scenarios, you apply the formulas right straightforward and then to get the answer. So please take a photo or save this lecture or screenshot if you are watching this from your phone, because we are going to use them in solving now the problems that in the slides, our chapter 4. Okay, so let's move. I will give you a second maybe or minute to save these two formulas with these conditions, because we are going to use them in the next slides. Okay. Okay, let's move on to our slides again and try to solve the problem. No, this is too big now here. Okay. Okay, now going back to the example. The example states that a nominal interest rate is 1.2 per month. Determine the effective interest rate per quarter and then determine it per month. Oh, per year, I mean, sorry. When it says it is per month and asks you to find it, the effective per quarter, you compare the quarter to the month. And in this case, who is bigger? Is it the quarter or the month? Which one is bigger? Counting or the time period? Okay, in this case, the quarter is greater than the time period because the quarter contains 3 months. So in this case, we follow the first condition when it stated that R equal interest rate times M. And interest rate in this case means that is the 1.2 that is given in the question times M, which is the number of frequency that the compound period appear in the time period. So the relation between the quarter and month is 3, because how many times how many months in the quarter is 3. So you multiply 1.2 times 3 and that will lead you to 3.6. Now we still are not having the effective. This is the nominal per quarter, to distinguish between the percentage here and the percentage that in the final state. The first step is you are finding the nominal per quarter. It was nominal per month. Now it is nominal per quarter. You need to do another step to find the effective per quarter. Now you do the formula that I showed you in the previous sheet. The formula says I effective, which is I EFF, which is I effective, equal 1 plus R divided by M. R in this case is the rate that we found it, or the nominal per quarter we found it in the previously, but you don't use the percentage, you use the rate. And you should know by this level what is the difference between percentage and rate. So you use the 0.036 divided by M. M we already know it, it's 3, to the power M, which is also 3. Okay? And in this case, you can just right away apply that to the formula to find the final answer. Is that clear? Yes, Abdullah.
دكتور يمكن تعيد الشرح لو سمحت.
Okay. The first thing that you have to do is you find which one is greater. Is it the time period or the compound period, which we already stated in the sheets that earlier I have showed you. Or I will look for one that maybe is more clearer, but if that was not clear, I will try to find another one. I think that is, it was clear, that sheet I have showed you, the one previously, because I'm going to now in my experience. Yes, is it clear?
ايوه واضحه يا دكتور. الحين
Okay.
ارسل للشباب.
طيب, okay. Okay, good. So follow me in the two conditions. The two conditions says that on the bottom of that page, you have to compare the time period and the compound period to make the decision which formula you are selecting. Jimmy. So the time period in this case is the month, because is the stated here 1.2 per month. And the question asks you to find the effective per quarter, which is the compound period. Okay, he wants you to find the compound period per quarter. So now I have the compound period and I have the time period. When I compare the compound period and the time period, which one is greater? Compound period is greater because it is quarter and the time period is month, so it is greater than the time period. Now in the two conditions I have on the bottom of that page, it says if the time period is less than the compound period, as we have in this case, then R, which is the rate of the nominal, okay, rate of the nominal, that's mean the nominal rate for the required quarter, equal I times M. I times M means that the interest given 1.2 times the number of frequency. The number of frequency, or the compounding frequency between the quarter and month, is 3, because the month contains of 3 quarters. The quarter contains, 3 months. So you multiply the 1.2 times 3 to get the nominal per quarter. This is the first step. Then you see the arrow that shows you this will lead to the I effective equal 1 plus R divided by M. R divided by M means the rate divided by compounding frequency to the power M minus 1, which is this line here representing 1 plus R divided by M to the power M minus 1. When you apply the M, which is 3, you have just to pay attention. When we use R, that's mean a rate. When we use I, that's mean interest. So in this case, you have to distinguish when. This is the most critical part. When I use the interest, when I use the rate. In the first step, we do the rate, we use the interest, which is the first line here. In the second step here, we use the rate, we don't use the percentage. And also the result, it needs to be multiplied with a with 100, so you get the percentage at the end. The percentage, if you can see, is not really different than the nominal that much. So if we compare the nominal per quarter, it was 3.6, the effective 3.64, but 3.64, this is the actual. 3.6, this is not the actual, what is applied per quarter. Now the second part, which is part B, asks you to do the same but per year, not per quarter. Again, we do the same. Is the time period greater than the compound period, or the compound period is greater than the time period? We will have the same case, because the compound period here is year and the time period is month, so the compound period is greater. The relation between the compound period and the time period in this case is 12, because the year contains of 12 months. Again, we multiply the interest times the interest times the m, which is the number of frequency. That will give us the rate, or let's say the nominal per year. The nominal per year. To find the effective per year, we have to do second step, which is what we did in part A. You follow the formula 1 plus r divided by m to the power minus 1, and that will lead us to 15.39. You can tell here there is a difference when is the time duration is being expanded. There is a difference between the nominal and effective. So this is, you could see it, but is really the actual. This is the actual if it is nominal, but if it's effective, it can't be. It says that it is effective 4.4 and it is equal to 15. In the calculation, things get clearer. So when you do get loans, you have to pay a careful and pay attention to the percentage, how it is applied to your loan. Okay, taking another example here, the interest rate is per year is 8, the compounding is quarterly. What is the effective annual interest rate? What is the effective annual? When it says effective annual, that means he wants the effective per year. R equal 0.08, M equal 4. Even if this information was not given, you can find them, because the relation between the quarter and the year is 4. We know that already. And in this case, the compounding is the quarter and the time period is the year. And what is the effective in this case? What you do, the effective is asking for the annual, so he wants you to find the compound for the annual. So in this case, the compounding or the time period, which one is greater? In this case, the time period is per year and the compounding per quarter, and he wants you to find the effective, regardless if it says effective for annual or effective per quarter. Since I have the time period and the compound period, always look to those two things here and follow the rules that I showed you. Okay, if you look to the slides and the textbook, you may get confused about how many ways the same solution you will get at the end, okay? But follow the rule says I compare them. So the time period is year and the compound is quarter. Now which one is greater? Is the time period. So in this case, follow the second condition, or the second way. In this way, I do I, which is the interest, equal I for the nominal, equal I, the one given, divided by M. And in this case, the I divided by M is the percentage here as a rate 0.08. We didn't use R in this case and we use I because in this case we are not finding the interest for the effective, we are finding the nominal interest. You could use it I nominal or you could use it R, it doesn't matter. All what we need to know that when we use the final formula, we need to use the rates, we don't use the percentage. When we use the last step, where is the effective, since the R is given here as a 0.08, it could not be given. So you can find the I nominal or the R by finding I by M, which is 0.08. Okay? Time period because it is for year. Yes, this is exactly. So we follow the second formula when it says 1 plus 0.08 divided by what? By M. Because we already found those here from this step to the power 4, which is to the power M, minus 1. To get the result, and you calculate it, it will get you that 8.24. Now, again, if the time period greater than the compounding period, you need to divide the percentage over the compounding frequency. Okay? If the condition or the problem, the time period is less than the compounding period, then you multiply them together. Okay? I will give you some more examples. I want you to try to solve them and we can then discuss the solution. Yes, your question.
دكتور اقدر اخذها لانه always the percentage I will use it at the last step. That's right.
I will post now extra questions so you can. Okay. This is one example here. Convert from nominal to effective. This is a typical question that you see. 21 cent per year compounded every 4 months. We followed the condition, the time period or the compound period. In this case, the time period or the compound period is greater. This question, the one in the here in the top of the page.
الدكتور الثاني
وانا هي
الكومباوند هنا بالمانثs.
Now is the compound greater than the time period?
No, the time period is bigger,
Okay,
I think.
but the time period is greater than. أحسنت also Abdullah. Time period is greater because it's per year and the compounding is every 4 months. Okay, so we follow the second condition. The second condition asks you to find the nominal interest for every 4 months. To do so, you divide the percentage by m, the relation between every 4 months to the year. That's mean it is 3. Why? Because that relation basically is every 4 months that appear 3 times in the year. Every 4 months means that 3 times in the year. So the relation or the compounding frequency is 3. So you divide the 21 by 3 equal 7%. Now from this step we don't use the 7%, we use the rate. To apply in the formula, 1 plus 0.07, we don't use the 7, to the power 3 minus 1 will lead us to the percentage at the end that is equal 22%, 22.5 per year. Okay, he asks you here to find the effective from nominal. So this is the typical questions that you will face. It's 2 types. Either the first type, which asks you to identify whether this statement represent a nominal or effective, and that is in the previous lecture. The second part of the questions for this topic is to ask you to find the effective from nominal, and to solve any problem from converting from nominal to effective, you follow the same procedure or the same way I have covered in this lecture. I will leave also this example for you so you can practice it by your own. Try to don't look to the answer and get the question here. It is 8% per 6 months compounded monthly, and ask you to find the effective. Try to solve it by yourself and then compare your answer. And then if you have any question in the next meeting also we can discuss it. This is all what you need to know regarding to the nominal and effective. Please, if you have any questions, rise or take the mic or raise your hand. Yes. Yes, Ahmed.
بس تكرم يا دكتور بعد اذنك، انا في عندي سؤال اشكل علي، بس عادي اتكلم بس خارج عن الموضوع الحالي.
Okay, if it's regarding something else, then we stop the recording here and we can answer all the other questions.